The Myth of Sisyphus. A man condemned by the gods to roll a boulder up a hill for eternity. Every time he nears the top, it rolls back down, and he walks back to the bottom and begins again. We look at Sisyphus and see tragedy, a man trapped in a loop of meaningless effort. But if we look closer, we will realize that we are all Sisyphus. You felt it the moment you finally touched the goal. The promotion, the relationship, the number in the bank account, the things you saw would finally make you whole. But as your fingers brushed the peak, the boulder didn't stay. It rolled back down. And now you are standing in the silence of your own success, asking a question you are terrified to answer. Is this it? We are victims of a biological bait and switch. We've been told that dopamine is the chemical of pleasure. It isn't. It is the chemical of pursuit. Your brain doesn't reward you for having things. It rewards you for wanting them. The moment you close the gap between you and the goal, the lights go out and the system shuts down. Psychologists call this the Arrival Fallacy, the illusion that a permanent state of happiness exists at the top of the mountain. But the mountain doesn't have a house on top. It only has a peak. And a peak is a place where you can stand, but it is not a place where you can live. The emptiness doesn't come from reaching the top. It comes from what you tied to the boulder on the way up, your identity, your worth, your entire sense of self. When you define yourself as the climber, the moment the climb ends, you cease to exist. You become an empty shell in a life that by every external measure looks like success. This is the Sisyphus trap. We don't fear their struggle, we fear their stillness. Stillness feels like a slow death because it forces us to face the person underneath the exterior. And so, we do what every good Sisyphus does. Before the old goal has even finished feeling empty, we find a new boulder, faster, heavier. We stay in motion not because we are ambitious, but because we are running away from the void at the center of our own lives. In our obsession with the peak, we have thinned out what matters. We've turned 99% of our lives into a state of not yet. We gamble the only reality we have, the present, for a future that is mathematically guaranteed to feel like nothing the moment it arrives. There is a difference between a goal and a value. A goal is a finish line. Once crossed, it is dead. But a value is a direction. You can never finish your direction. If you run because the motion makes you feel human, the finish line is irrelevant. If you create because the craft makes you feel alive, the applause is a mere footnote. You stop being the person pushing the stone and you become the person who is the hill. Albert Camus believed that Sisyphus was happy, not when the rock was at the top, but when he was walking back down to begin again. In the descent, there is a quiet dignity that the summit can never offer. It is acceptance and presence. The realization that the view was never the point. Who you became while you were climbing, that was the only thing that was ever real. When we feel empty, despite doing everything right, we have to know that we have simply discovered that the horizon keeps moving because you are still walking toward it. The wholeness was never at the top. It was always here, in the middle of the mess, in the middle of the not yet.